Hey, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Our last session, we were discussing about the Linux basics. And post that, what we have done is we just moved on to AWS account creation. And we have talked about how do we create an EC2 machine and how to connect to that particular EC2 machine. So hope every one of you are able to create a EC2 machine and you were able to connect to that particular instance with the shown process, by the way, right? And if you have any challenges, by the way, so there is a just link which is given here in the given timings. So just join there and sort out your issues if you are having any issues related to the account creation or basically like server creation and other things. Okay, so that to start with. And yesterday we have created a Linux box, by the way, an EC2 Linux box, and we are trying to use some image which I'm offering, and we are able to log into that particular machine, right? And also before to that, we talked about the GDPR policy and using like Amazon business account. I mean, going with multi regions, we'll be always going with North Virginia region. We'll always go with North Virginia region, and we go with the uh, North Virginia region because my lab is. I mean, the image which I'm offering is just available there. There's nothing more than that. And also in the companies, by the way, so maybe if you try to launch an instance, so generally if you go to the, like, let's say internet or somewhere, so maybe you will find out, so using Ubuntu or something like that. But ideally talking about if I'm in Amazon, okay, I would be either, an enterprise customer, I'll be just try to be on the Red Hat machine, or else, okay, I'll be using the Amazon Linux. Mostly even we prefer to go with Amazon Linux. It does not really matter because end of the day, again, this both operating system is same, like a Red Hat clone. And again, that's the reason, by the way. So we're not much worried about that. Uh, if it is Amazon Linux also, it is the same thing. Or if it is even Red Hat Linux also, it is the same thing. I mean, Amazon Linux is a copy of Red Hat again. Like there are many people who is copying Red Hat. Amazon Linux is also one of the guy who copies the Red Hat. Okay. So that's where not a much worry, but why still we go with the Amazon Linux is we are going to get a support from Amazon, by the way, so without any extra charges. Okay, if I go to the I mean, if I'm anyhow taking the support from Amazon, like for AWS, we'll also get the support for Amazon Linux also out of box. So that's where companies can save a little bit cost on the Red Hat side, because Red Hat you have to pay for them, right? So that is the reason. Okay, we may not be uh, generally also, like, so it depends by the company's organization. So even I work for organizations where on Amazon we completely went with Red Hat. On Amazon we completely went with Amazon Linux. Okay, so there are mixed scenarios on saving the cost. It all depends, like lower environments maybe, I mean, it's not preferred one, but still, like, if you're running container world, by the way, especially later, okay, it doesn't really matter which operating system you're using behind the scene. And of course, there you have to use the container supported operating system from Amazon itself, to really go with the Red Hat one. Okay. So things will come into picture. So just keep in mind that, so companies, they'll be looking towards a security thing, by the way. Okay. And I would also give one more, I can just take a look, like, so what I'm talking about. So I can just go for hub.docker.com. So here you'll get something called as, like, however, I'm having an AMI here, or basically like image here. So there is a hub.docker.com, you'll find out the images. So here, if I search for an image, which is my Red Hat 9 image, okay. And also I will search for Ubuntu generally. All right. Now over here, I just wanted to just look like, even to justify something, what I'm telling, I usually, if you can go here, is there any where it is showing what all the, no, it's not showing actually the vulnerabilities. Maybe in the tags you will be getting, no. Is there any vulnerability report on this? No. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Now you go to the Ubuntu machine, the base machine itself, what they're offering, you're having some vulnerabilities. But Red Hat will not have anything. Actually, it is not published. Uh, but even though it publishes, it comes with zero, by the way. So this is a very clean image. The moment you start installing, you're starting installing your packages, it becomes more and more vulnerable. Okay. So, but Red Hat is not like that. So you will clearly see that, maybe we have a vulnerability scan things later at certain point of time in the training, in the security aspect. We clearly see that we can give a try on that also. Okay. So Ubuntu ecosystem is not serious for production environment. So that's what you need to understand. So there are companies still uses for, okay, Ubuntu as in production. So that's their choice. But enterprise scale we're talking about, we don't actually use uh, uh, Ubuntu at a massive scale in the production environments. Okay, so I just want to justify that particular thing. Now coming back, by the way, so when we try to create a server, always choose Red Hat, and keep in your mind also, by the way, maybe when you actually try to create a machine, like yesterday also someone was asking, when you try to create a machine, so they're offering some key pair, by the way, and after that, that is the only thing you need to use it, by the way, but that's not the standard. Any point of time, you open up the Linux operating system installation in the YouTube, let's say, you start reading about it. Okay, for an example, I want to install Linux in the latest. I mean, I want to install Linux. So open YouTube video how people have done that. Now you just observe what they're doing, entering username, password, or key pair. So key is a next level which will come into picture, but not at the foundation level. So you need to understand the foundation. Then you have to go to there. And also you need to understand why Amazon has went into that particular approach. Maybe way back, almost like, so 15, 17 years back, why Amazon needed that. And why now in Amazon it's not needed. Now we'll go with in organization, if I'm exclusively using Amazon Linux, let's say, I'll go with keyless environments only. Okay. So that means no one will have any keys at all. Okay, it's possible. Okay. So today's world, actually, in 2024, I'm talking about, at least it is possible from a couple of years. It's been already 2 years. It is keyless is 100% possible. Whether there is no need to give a key. So at least to start with, maybe I need to give some key and all. Very starting, I can do that. Okay, for creating my images and all. Even that is also not needed in today's world. So that's where, okay, so whatever we do, by the way, so should be supporting the organization policies. And in the organization policy, everywhere you're going to use a single sign-on. Okay, that means my laptop is the same password. Let's say I'm opening a leave portal to apply a leave, same username password. I'm connecting to a server, same username password. Everywhere it is going to be single sign-on. Okay. So that is what is the idea of the organizations, by the way. Okay. So maybe one day I'll show you, okay, or I'll give you the information about, okay, why the key pair is not needed, or what is the risks involved going into the key pair, by the way. Key pair is a high risk, by the way. Okay. Risk wise, key pair is very, very high. Any matured person wouldn't use keys in general, by the way. Okay. Amazon has taken that. There's a reason for them to take it. Now that reason is they came out of this, that that one maybe back in 2011 12 only they came out of that particular approach, but people are not coming out of that approach. That is a problem. Okay, so they came out of that approach and giving it a very straightforward to choose whatever you want. Maybe the design wise, they're just stuck there. But if you look at the clouds which came after that, by the way, so especially let's say you take Azure, who is more of enterprise mindset company, process oriented company. So they'll give you mostly password and keep it also as an optional, but password is a thing they'll give it. Okay. So, and also why are we talking about stressing about this particular one is there are reasons. We'll talk about those reasons. I know there's a confusion in the market. People without telling the actual reasons, like, so just talking about the solutions is a problem. Okay. There are reasons that why Amazon had to go into that approach. Okay. So the reason, if you want to study, is also before to that. So VPC classic, VPC, like AWS VPC classic. Okay. So our AWS Classic VPC. You study about it, okay? So they retired this particular approach. And so the VPC itself has been introduced long way in 2011 or 12. I don't remember the time. So that time only they have, released the VPC concept. Okay. So, and before to that, there used to be something called EC2 Classic. And this is retired, by the way. Okay. And this is the major reason that they had to went with keypad. After that, there was no reason for that. Okay. But still they design, by the way, they couldn't change, or they never focused on that. So just coming like that. In 2022, they offered keyless completely. Okay. You can have a keyless. So that means I create any machine, by the way. So without any key, I can log in. Or if you have an access. Okay. So that's how they have done that. But for us, by the way, so for a standard practice, like every machine, whenever someone is logging in, they want to log in with a single sign-on username and password. So that is the superior context, by the way. And everyone agrees that's a universal standard. If anyone logs in, they should be logging with their username password. Okay. So that's where even this keyless also is not applied for us. So username password. So strongly tell to anyone when you are talking someone that in AWS, how are you connecting to your machine? Strongly tell that you're using username password. And that is my company single sign-on username and password. How single sign-on works, creating a user, how it will immediately work. I'll share those particular things later. But for now, strongly, okay, go with this particular thing in this particular approach. You're going to get a username and password. Okay. So now I'm giving a EC2-user and some password. Just imagine EC2 user is your username. Okay. Maybe in my company, so I have my username, let's say is Raghu. Let's say I'll enter Raghu and my password is a single sign-on password. All right. So that is how we are going to uh, go with. So now coming back and, so let's continue the administrative topics. So to start with, first I need a machine. So I'm going to go for browse AMI, like I have shown yesterday. So search for DevOps-practice. Okay, no need to change anything. So just go with the proceed without a key pair option. Launch it. Okay. And after that, if you are a putty Windows guy, so you'll be using putty to connect to that machine. Or if you're a macOS guy like me, or if anyone is in Windows also, you can simply use the terminal, inbuilt terminals, and you will proceed like this. So what I told, SSH EC2-user at the rate, the IP address is what you need to provide. It will prompt for yes or no, type yes, and it will prompt for the password. So carefully type the password DevOps 321. Okay. So carefully, so which I have and shown here, right? Okay, maybe on the top, I will also add it. So this is the username and passwords. All right. So I'm in service. Now let's start with killer coda. And in killer coda, maybe you get a right side prompt still, but don't bother about the prompt. So we'll just only proceed with the the documentation which is given here. That's it. But don't bother about this prompt. The first one which we're going to talk about here is a process management. So to learn process management, you open two windows to your Linux box. Okay, maybe in my Mac OS it is possible to get a tabs by the way, but in Windows you open another putty session. Okay, so just another putty session and try to have two sessions for your server for this to practice. All right, just give me a sec. Sorry. Yeah. So now in Red Hat OS, by the way, every command that you execute is going to create a process inside the system. Even Windows also, like you have a task manager, open task manager, you'll see a lot of process, right? And here in Linux or Red Hat Linux, every process which is getting created is going to get some unique number, which is called as process ID. Okay. So it is going to give you one unique number that is called as a process ID. We call it as technically PID. Okay. And this process to fetch, by the way, we are going to use a command called as PS. Okay. If I go here and execute PS. Okay. So then it is going to show you the list of process. Now, but the mo command will show only the process related to the process which you logged in. Okay. If you need the process that belongs to the current user, then you can use with -u option, PS-u. So that means I open another shell here. So if I give PS here, I'll see some other numbers here. So here you have some other numbers. Here you're seeing some other numbers. Same user. I logged in as a same user, but two different sessions. Linux is a multi-user, multi-session operating system. That means Linux can go with a same user, can open multiple sessions also. Windows is a multi-user, single session operating system because it's a graphical. One user, one session only is Windows supported. So it is not going to support multi users. So that's what it is. Now, if I wanted to see all the process belongs to this particular user which I logged in, so PS-u. Now it is showing you some of the process from 1316 from here, 1363 also from here. It is showing here. Now all the process belongs to this particular user. Okay, even the PS command you are executing also is a process on the system. But that additional process also it is showing. All right. Now, as an operating system also have other users and OS system process which are running in the background. If you would like to see everything, so then -e, every option or PS-e, so which is going to get every process which is running in the system. All right. Now you need a little bit more format or more information about that particular process. -f you give, it adds more fields, okay, to the PS command, and you get this particular one. So PS-e-f will show you generally or is a widely used command because PS-e-f will show you the full command that what it is using and all. Okay, that's an advantage. If I'm looking for certain process, you can always search for that particular process, pipe grep. You already know grep command, right? So you can search something. I would like to search from the PS command output. So yesterday we were talking about pipe symbol as well. Using pipe symbol, I would be able to search the things like this. You'll be doing. So PS-ef is a command that we are going to use to fetch the process, and from there you can search as well. It's a very common thing. So how do you get the information? Now, what we are going to do is we'll start administrating the things as well. Okay, so that means we need to terminate the process also. And if I would like to terminate the process, so then what I would like to do. Okay, so here for demonstration purpose, I'm going to take one command help, which is called as sleep. Sleep will not do anything, just sleeps. Just it wait for 1,000 seconds, and then only it will give you the prompt. Okay. Now just to simulate this, I am going to use this. So PS-ef. Okay. Pipe grep for sleep. You can go with that. So now you can see this is the process ID for this one. Now this is the process ID and it has one parent also. Who is the parent? It is giving the parent, right? So now if I go with the process ID and I would like to stop this particular process, so then, okay, not the stop in a way. So stop is different. Stop is like something like pause the process. It's not stopping, you're completely removing the process. Okay, completely killing the process. So that's where you're going to give 1434 and you're going to get terminated. So you can see down screen also you got terminated message. So I was running here. Okay, I ran it again. PS-EF grabs the sleep. I got a process. So kill, you give this. And this particular process got interrupted in between. It was supposed to come out after 1000 seconds, but it is coming immediately because of the reason we are getting it killed. All right. Now I would like to simulate one scenario. The kill is a common command. Like, sometimes my application is running. I want to stop my application. I'll find out my process of the application. I will just kill that particular one. Okay. So this is how you do that. And I would like to bring a scenario here, but don't worry about what is happening here, but just I will take a scenario. Okay. Now PS-EF pipe grep for sleep. Now you can see this sleep is running. Now kill this particular one. Now you go and give the sleep. Is the process got killed? 1469 was there. I killed 1469 and 1469 is still there. Again, I kill it. Again, I kill it. It's not going anywhere. Okay. It's there in the system all the time. So some process is going to be a little bit hung by the way. Okay. Or it will take some time to come out. But you need an utmost, you need an utmost reason, or basically you have a very high reason that you want to end it very much immediately. Okay, whatever the reason it is, let's say. So then I'll be going with another option called as kill -9 1469. But 100% you try to avoid executing this kill -9 process. Okay, why? Because unknowingly, like let's say if you're running this particular one on a database is running, it's also an application. Now, if you run kill -9 on a database, there is a high chance that you lose the data. So we don't do that. Okay. So consciously, always try to give a kill command, wait for some time. You know with the behavior of the command, of course, it has to come out. Wait for that particular time, whether it is really coming out or not, because big applications take little time to shut down also. Okay. So that's where you just give that grace time, by the way. If you, after a couple of tries also, it is still telling that it's not able to come out. So then help it with kill -9 consciously. Okay. Otherwise, don't do that. Simple kill command should do the job. All right. So this is how you're going to deal with how do you list the process? And if any case of a scenario that I wanted to stop the process, then how can I stop the process? Maybe later when we deal with the real project and applications, if I really want to stop the process, you know the method now. How to find the process, how to stop the application or kill the application. This is how you do it. So does it sound clear? Any questions? Any questions on PS and kill?
So what is the difference between the parent ID? I see other ID also on the session.
Yeah. So the parent is nothing but like, let's say you have a parent, just a very English generalistic thing only. Now you have a parent. A parent can have multiple childs, right? So the same concept. Okay. Now a process can also create some sub process, and that is, every process is belong to a particular parent, by the way. So since you asked, let me just extend this conversation. So in an operating system, when we start the operating system, so there are two processes which will born, by the way. Okay. So it's just a relation only tree, just a, however you have a family tree. Here it is a process tree. So now there are two processes which will born when an operating system just starts. The process number one and the process number two. is also representing the parent process ID as 0, by the way. Okay, that means it doesn't have any parent. There's a first process which got born, and all the process should end up with these particular two processes. Now there are two types of process. What are the two types of process is? If you look into the, like, let's say Linux OS structure diagram. Okay. Uh, Basically, if you look at the Linux OS, by the way, so it will be to minimize and tell you, this may be the easy way. So now you have a hardware. Like on the other day also, I was showing you the same thing. So hardware is there. And in the Unix, by the way, the software and everything is binded. But Linux, by the way, so they came up with a layer. Okay. If you look at the structure also, so on top of hardware, you have something called as kernel. Okay, which is a layer between the hardware and software. Okay. Now on top of this one, this is actually Linux, and on top of that, you are having an applications. That means all the commands you're executing and all is all basically like you're executing those commands in a shell. Okay, which is the connection you are making, and you're executing the commands all the time. ls command, cat command, all these are applications, you would say. Now when the operating system is actually just borning, okay, there are two parent process will come into picture. So one goes with kernel, one goes with application. Now the process one goes to applications, process two goes to kernel. So that means what it is means to us is, by the way, is now any process which is ending up with two, you can't manage this process at all. Now, any process who is the parent number two, there are a lot of process which is managed parent number two. These processes you can't manage at all. So because it's a very low level, and even as an administrator, you'll not have control on this particular process. Even in Windows, also the same concept applies. You try to go to Windows Task Manager, there's a Chrome open, right click end process. It will end the process of a Chrome, but you go down and you'll find out Windows process and try to end, try to right click. The end process itself will be disabled for you. You can give a try later. So that means even the Linux Windows core things, they're not allowing even the administrator to end them. So here also Linux also the same idea. So you'll be having, so or basically any operating system just generally goes in that approach maybe. So process number one is there, process number two. Now all the process which is born after that child. So when the operating system is coming up, there are a lot of process which will start according to our requirement, maybe our applications and all those things. So there should be a relation for these guys to build it out. That's how they came up with the parent and child. Now one is a parent and it has some childs, by the way. Now you can see this. There's one has created 935, or basically a process need to be started. So who started that process? An operating system kickoff process, which is number one, which is also called as init process. Okay, if someone is interested, if you are, init process in Linux, if you read about this, you will understand how the operating system boots and things like that. So init process is a Linux first daemon that starts during the boot process, booting, and the last one to terminate during the shutdown. Now, every process which comes up as an operating system, it should have a relation that someone should start it, and that's where it goes under one. Okay. Now, let's say one has created, for an example, a web server, and that particular web server has created some more process for serving the customers. Now that becomes a child to that web process. Okay, like that. So you're going to have a parent-child relation as a process because OS is designed that way. That's where you'll find out a process, parent process for every process. And also, like I have given something like, additional things to look for. What happens if you try to kill a parent process? Give a try, read about it, give a try. And what is an orphan process? Generally, you will hear this scenario. I think in today's world, this is not that. In today's world, orphan process, I don't see anywhere coming in. At least I've not seen this process in years because of some maturity in the operating systems, by the way. And also there is something called as process priority. Now let's say I'm executing some ls command. Now that ls command should take a utmost priority in the operating system. So how can you do that? I have a processor. So you execute any command. Now, like any other command, actually, it is going to give you some priority. But I need to take more priority from the processor. Okay, how do you do that? That is the one. And also one more command, export top command. So self-exporting tasks also. Everyone give a try on this particular one. So yeah. So coming to the answer for your parent thing. So Linux is designed, or Linux operating system is designed to have a parent-child structure. and every process should have a parent, and every process will be invoked by some other process on. That is how it is.
Thank you, sir. Sir, what is the use case of sleep? I mean, you just
What
use
is the use case of, sorry?
sleep command. The terminal is also not active. We are not able to type another command also. It is not showing.
Right.
Uh,
Just I there's just that is the just use case, right? I don't want to do anything. I don't want the prompt for given time. That means I don't want to do for something anything else. Sleep, right? If you just take the normal sleep only, it is doing the same thing, right? So during your sleep, you don't do anything, correct?
yeah.
It's the same concept. So sleep means you don't do anything, but it will just wait for that given time. That's it. It sleep for that time.
Oh,
Use cases, there are it has its own use cases on the scripting world and all, but here is only for, that's what I mentioned. I just picked only for demonstration purpose. I'm not talking about the use case. The use case I'm talking about is a ps and kill command, not the sleep command. Sleep command I picked only for demonstration. Yeah.
so thank
Any other questions?
Uh, So are we able to kill the parent process or no?
You should be able to.
Okay.
Yeah. If you just kill the parent in the operating system, all its childs also get killed by that. That's it, as simple.
So how does it create the zombie process? It says if you kill the parent process, then
No,
all
no.
the child process becomes orphan process.
Zombie has some history, by the way. Read it about it. Okay, what is zombie process in Linux? You will understand how a process can become orphan. So there is a
Oh,
theory for that. Yeah,
mhm. Okay.
I would have answered, but I honestly I don't remember it. It's been a very long time that a scenario I didn't recall. By the way, which scenario it will become. I just need to refresh on that day. Yeah, but give it a
Okay.
try. Any questions, come back to. Any other questions? All right. Now let's find a scenario.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so sorry to interrupt. Yesterday, I wasn't able to join the session, so I'm kind of a little bit confused. So, is this something that you did yesterday and you're continuing today, or something new?
Yeah, go through the recording. So some commands has been covered extra.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much.
Now let's find out a scenario, or let me show you a scenario here that I'm going to try to kill certain process. For example, I'm going to kill some process which is some, like, let's say this is something. I mean, I'll try to pick up a process which is very safe only to kill. Let's say I'm going for horses log D. Okay, some process. So kill this particular process. Now what you are getting? Operation not permitted. What you are getting is operation not permitted. All right. So that means I can't kill that particular process. And why I'm not able to kill the process? Now, so far, the process which we have killed is a process that I have created, by the way. I'm the owner of the process. I'm able to kill that particular process. But this process, whatever I'm picking it up, and actually the owner is which user? A root user. Okay. So that means it is running with the root, a root user and with the root privilege maybe. Okay. Or root user, right? Now, I want to kill this particular process also, for an example. So generally, you log into an operating system, the application runs with its own users only. Okay, so that means it is running with some other user. I want to kill that particular process with that particular, which is running for that by that particular application user. Application runs with its own application user. and that's where I want to kill it. Okay, even crony, let's say root, forget about that. Crony is a time sink, by the way. Crony is a time sink process. That means it's always try to ensure the time is always sync, okay, according to the world time. Okay, so that's where I'll try to kill that particular process. It is running by a crony user. I can't kill that particular process. Okay, so how do I manage this? So now my application, when I log into the system, it runs with certain user. And how do I actually kill that particular process? If I'm not able to kill, what is the point, by the way, I logging in, right? Now, the thing of administrator comes into picture. Now you are an engineer, okay, who is going to be the owner of that machine. That means you log in and you will be managing your machine. Or you, at least you are the owner of the process, right? You should be the owner of the process to manage it. Now, how to deal with this? And that is where our administrator things comes into picture. Okay, the next topic which we are going to talk about is if I want to do certain things on the system as an administrator, okay, I should have a privilege, by the way. Okay, and the privileges usually you'll be having in the organization, necessary privileges to do your work. Some companies, they may give you 100% privilege on the system. Some companies, they can give you only the limited privileges, only limited to your application. It all depends upon the company policy, how they are doing and all. Okay, let's not get onto that scenario. Which one? Let's not generalize that, okay? Because general answer will not help. So however they are dealing with, if they are actually going with, if they are really going with full admin access, you'll get the full admin access. They're giving a partial admin access, you'll get the, see, your job is getting done. It does not really matter what do you get it. Okay, so that's where what we are going to do here is when we are trying to kill any other user process, we are not getting the able to kill, by the way. Now in companies, we, even though we know the root password, we might not log in directly with the root user. Now if I want to kill this particular process, what I need to take care, I need to become an administrator. So how do I become an administrator? I will just log in as a root user. If I log in as a root user to the system, I can start administrating it. But in the companies, even though the root, I mean, of course, the root logins are not allowed in the very first place. But though, let's say I have a root password with me, I should not be logging in with that particular user at all. And it is also not allowed. Now, how do I still deal with this? If I want to kill some other user process, I have to be a privileged user, but my privileged user login is not happening, correct? So that is the reason, okay? So what we are going to do is we are going to use some privilege escalation tool. Okay, there is a privilege escalation tools. Is a section. This tool has this section or this name in the section, or this has been sectioned with this name, privilege escalation. Okay, and this section of tools will help you in giving a privileges to the normal users. Now I logged in as my own user. I'll use the privilege and I'll try to kill that particular process, and it should be able to do that, or you should be able to do that using that privilege. Now, these privilege escalation tools, there are many tools which is available, which comes a Linux operating system. Default one is sudo, which is no doubt a very widely used one. And there are also other tools like, so Power Broker, Centrify, even sudo itself will tell you what all the alternatives you have. Okay, so these are all paid tools. Okay, and they can do some better job than sudo. Okay, so there are commercial alternatives. These are all commercial alternatives. All right. So I worked only with Power Broker and CyberArk, these two tools. Other tools I also did not work, but depends upon the companies, by the way, they will have something, all right? So in Linux operating system, the default one is sudo. You'll be dealing with the sudo. And sudo also, basically, I mean, let's say I have 100 machines, 1,000 machines. We have a centralized sudo concept. That means one user should be having a privilege only on 100 machines. The other 900 machines, he should not have access. Possible scenario, right? Now you are a application user for certain application. Now you should be, having access only on 100 machines, let's say. So this is all possible, by the way. Okay. So it's all possible to control. Sudo has a central sudo concept. Even I used to work in Oracle. Oracle, we did not had any centralized, any tools like this. We used to manage that with a central sudo. That central sudo scale is also like, so that time itself it was, I'm talking about 2012-13 story. At that time itself, we used to run it on, central sudo goes to 93,000, 92 or 93,000 Linux machines. Okay, we used to manage central sudo concept. So at a scale also, the sudo is proven. Now it's a company choice whether to which configuration they wanted to use and all. All right, so that is where we'll be using sudo. So now if I wanted to, I already have a privilege in the system. Okay, so I'm not interested in how to provide the privilege generally, but if you're interested, you can read about it. That's okay. So if you're interested, please go with this one. There's already a reference I have given, but my interest is using the privilege. Okay, so that's where I'm going to give sudo kill. Okay, now the process has been killed. So now ps-ef. Okay, so then you don't see the crony anymore. It's gone. Or maybe, okay, it's gone. CHR is not coming. So that's where, okay, so this user is having EC2 user in this particular image. I have provided 100% administrator access. Okay, so which is configured under sudo etc sudo vers.d. So let me find out what all the files I have here. And there is a EC2-user is there. So if I add that particular one, so this is how I provide the privilege. Okay, now what is this configuration? I'm not interested. If you're really interested, please go through that and come back. If you have any questions on understanding, I can help you on that. But otherwise, I have a privilege I'm using. That's the idea. Okay, so with this particular one, now anytime I wanted to do some administrator activity, so I'll be giving the prefix of sudo and I'll be using this privilege and I'm going to run that particular command. Right, so that's about something about the sudo. Clear? Any questions? I think you people are giving me very happy days. Questions? All right, so let's move on then. So the next one is going to be a package management, okay, which is a very important uh, task as part of your job, by the way, which is going to be installing softwares. Why? Because why I need to install software? Because my application want to run, I need to install some softwares and all. Let's say my developer is developing Java application. I need to have a Java on the Linux box to run. If my developer is actually running developing a Node.js application, I need to have a Node.js on the system. He's developing Python, I should have a Python. So that means I want to install these particular softwares. So that's where the package management becomes a very crucial part of your activity, by the way, or your job. And so to start with, the package management in Red Hat, okay, or it's even like family like OS, that's okay. So they use RPMs. What is RPMs? Their own native structure of packaging. Okay. In this one, in this Windows, by the way, you have something called as MSI. Okay, MSI in Windows. MSI in Windows. What is MSI? MSI is their Windows own developed Microsoft software installer. Okay, so EXE is a third party. EXE is not native from Windows actually. EXE is a third party. Okay, but MSI is actually the nature. Is the actual from developed by Windows, by the way. If you try to install some softwares, also download some softwares, you'll get .msi. Okay, EXE later came in and all, so just took it as a generic one. Okay. But Microsoft's from website, there's a website, if you try to download and all, you'll usually find out .msi files. All right. So that's how. So that is how we are going to deal with um, MSI in Windows in Red Hat. Now coming to the Red Hat especially, because other operating system they have their way of their way of dealing with the packages, which is something else. Okay, but for Red Hat, it's going to be they are going to use RPMs. All right. Now, in case if you want to list down all the packages which is installed in your system, then what is the command you're going to use is DNF. DNF is a command, okay, so which is available to list down the packages or a package manager we have, DNF list installed. So DNF list installed is going to show you the list of packages which is installed in your system. Someone mentioned a comment that my voice is breaking. So is it the same case to everyone? Can someone please confirm? Yes, no, on the chat? No. Okay, thanks. So then Nitin, it is your issue. Please do check. All right, thank you. And now you can see this, the list of packages which is installed, it is coming in here. Okay. Now the next one, which I wanted to have here is, if I would like to go and get the available packages to install. Now, what is this available package? And this concept is not there in Windows, by the way. Okay. If what are the packages which are available to install for my system? Okay, you can also check that as well, right? So that means which you go for available. So you're going to get the packages which are not installed on your system, but however, those are available to install. Okay. So that is an interesting thing in Linux. We'll see. We'll talk about this. Okay. Now you can see this. These are all the packages which are available to install. If you try to install, these are all the packages which are available to install. That means these are not installed, but available to install. Now DNF list all, okay, will give you both installed plus available together. The DNF list all is going to provide both installed plus available at the same time. Now you can see that so it coming with huge number of lines. If I give word count -L, this word count will calculate how many number of lines are there. Now each line is representing a package, and that means there are 29,000 packages. Now reading the output doesn't make sense, so that's where DNF list all you can give, or even if you don't give DNF list all also, it's all only anyhow. Okay, you give all or you don't give all, it's already all, and maybe paragraph for some package name. Now this way you can able to search the things much efficiently. Okay, so DNF list, and you can see this. All right. Now, if you would like to install a particular package, then what we are going to do is install DNF install. List is to list, install is to install. So DNF install. There is a package name called as Nginx, and I am trying to type Nginx. Now, Nginx also, you're seeing that, so .x86_64. What is this? .x86_64 means it's an Intel hardware, 64-bit. x86 stands for Intel. Okay, majority of the machines you will see is Intel hardware. Okay, Intel powered hardware, and that's where x86 you will see Intel processor. I mean, our Intel architecture, our x86 architecture, which is from Intel anyhow. So x86 architecture is what you will see. Mostly Intel or AMD. I think these two vendors are there from this one. So that's why this is x86. And now today's world, they have their own processors. Now let's say Amazon has their own processor. Amazon have their own processor, which they call it as ARM. Okay. Now, if anyone is actually dealing with their own own processors and developing their own operating system associated to that processors, it's going to be the ARM hardware. Okay. So now I'm getting x86 64. So you know to really specify this, it's only like this DNF is actually mentioning that. Now also sometimes you're saying no arc. That means this package does not really mean to run on any particular hardware. It is a generic for anywhere. Okay, it works here, it works on the ARM as well, both the sides. So that was the idea. So that's how it is. But you don't need to really provide .x86 or .no arc. Okay, so you can simply give that. It will take care. It will understand what is your operating system and it will try to install the appropriate ones, not a worry. Now you can see this Nginx is installing, and Nginx is also needed some more dependencies, and it is installing those, and it is installing those dependencies. Now it is asking, hey, I want to download, and if I download size is this of all these packages, and if I install, it will use this much on your operating system. Okay, are you okay with this? The answer is yes, if you would like to proceed. But I'm going to give no, by the way, n for no, and process is coming out. Okay, because rather than prompting for yes or no, I can also go and give dnf install nginx -y. If I give -y option, automatically it is going to come with so yes as an answer. It automatically going to install it. Okay, so this is how we are going to install a package. Now the same way, if I want to remove a package, dnf remove. dnf remove nginx -y. It just removed the package and its dependencies as well. All right. So that's what it is. And also sometimes you can update some packages. Okay. So by using DNF update, let's say there is a new update came in and I wanted to give an update. So DNF update will help you. Or if you give DNF update -y, what all the updates available in the system, it will update everything. Okay. I won't prefer to do that, but DNF, let's say if I give update without -i option, it is showing you that, so it is installing 10 new packages and it is upgrading 219 packages. Okay, but giving no anyhow for now. Okay, so this is the 3 options. Update is very rare you use. So you'll go with the other options, by the way. DNF install, first DNF list, by the way, to list all the packages, and DNF install is what we do. Right? Removing is a pretty rare thing. Again, you do update and remove is a pretty rare thing. Okay, at least update also might come into picture. Remove is even pretty rare. Just for demonstration purpose, we talk. That's okay. But mostly it's going to be installations. And however, if you wonder that, so how DNF is actually trying to manage the installation, you're seeing that, the packages are downloading and installing it. But where is it downloading from? Is a very logical question, isn't it? So how this DNF actually is trying to get the information where to install from? So that's where you'll find out the information from etcm.repos.d. This location, you'll have a lot of .repo files. Okay, so ls/etc yum.repos.d, and you have lot of repo files, and these repo files will be having the information about where the packages should be downloaded from. Okay, for an example, if I give cat, and for an example, or this last file to this, it is having a URL where it has to download it from. Okay, and some other configuration. All right. Now let's say I'll try to go and give a DNF list and grep for Jenkins. By the way, if you search for Jenkins, you did not got any package. So Jenkins is one of the well-known software, let's say. Okay. Now that package is not there. So why it is not there is because that repo files, none of the repo files is holding an information where the Jenkins to be downloaded from. Okay. So that's where, okay, Jenkins guys will offer one repo file. You try to download this particular file. Okay. So sudo call, ideally you need sudo. Otherwise it's not possible. That's a documentation update I need to do. So you can see this denied. Okay. So sudo is mandatory. So sudo, now I have a repo file here. Now telling where the packages are available from. Now if I go and give sudo DNF list, by the way, grep for Jenkins, now you can see this Jenkins package is coming into picture. Okay. So now if you wonder, okay, where these packages are coming from, so the vendors will provide the repo files, and using those repo files, you will be doing it. Another example, maybe if we want to take it up, for an example, there is something called as MongoDB. Okay, so install, if I say MongoDB install. So there is an official documentation, MongoDB install, and let's choose an operating system, which is what? A Red Hat, correct? Click on that. Now what is it is telling? So they are providing a repo file. Your operating system is Red Hat 9, they have a support. Red Hat 8, they have a support. Red Hat 7, they have a support. Anyhow, 7 is end of life. 8 become, okay, 8 is still going on. 9 is the latest one. So you'll pick up accordingly. So that's how vendors always provide the repo files, and you would be getting it. And as a vendor of an operating system here as a Red Hat, they will offer some packages. As a there's a community also for Linux, by the way, which is EPEL community. Okay, EPEL community. Okay, not EPEL repo community. Okay. So EPL, by the way, so this is a Red Hat, developers project, by the way. So many of the packages will be there here. Okay. So Red Hat actually runs with a project of development, and that goes as EPL for Fedora. And the same can be used for, so use Red Hat as well for a lot of development softwares. You'll find out here. This is made for developers who is developing the Red Hat project. I mean, Red Hat OS, by the way. Many of the packages you'll find. So if you have this also, mostly many of the packages will sort it out. So some provides come from the Red Hat directly, some associated Red Hat, which is EPL. And apart from that, usually will be having a vendor related repo files for your job. Mostly these will be there. Okay. So this is how what is happening here is, if you understand, the packages are getting downloaded and installed from somewhere, and where to download and all, it's a configuration. It's a .repo file in etcm.repos.d. And once you keep there, so you can go ahead and do the installation. And sometimes you may get a package directly, an RPM software directly. You can also give DNF install and the URL of the package also, it will install. That is also possible. But depends. If that is the case, they're not giving any repo. They're giving the direct RPM. So how do you install? This is how you install it. DNF install. You give the URL, it only will download and install. We don't need to bother about it. Okay, so this is what we wanted to talk about package management, a very important topic. Okay. So now what is the thing we talked about? DNF, list, install, remove, update. I am not, it's okay as a concept, but this is not much, by the way. Okay. So, and then repo files in etc/m.repos.d is the one it is important for you to understand. Right? Clear? Any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi, Raghu. My question is that what is the difference between YUM and DNF? I know about the RPM. We can directly, as you mentioned, that we can directly install the packages through the URL.
Yeah. So YUM has certain limitations, by the way. So those are being addressed in DNF in the latest version. From RHEL 8, DNF came into picture. And
That,
if you, sorry.
you meant like in the earlier old versions, we used to work on YUMs, right?
Correct. And even before to that, we used to work on RPM commands. RPM is still there. YUM is also there. DNF is also there. DNF is the most modern one.
Okay, so you mean in the latest version we should avoid to use the yum, right?
Of course, RPM command is also there. That's how the operating system was. RPM is the basic command you have. Okay, RPM. This command still there. On top of that, yum command came. There is a history for that, and now DNF came into picture. So in all these three versions, the DNF is the modern one. It has more options than comparing these two.
Okay, and similarly with the other operating systems like CentOS and Ubuntu, there would be some other the package installers.
CentOS is a copy of Red Hat, so ideally it is going to be DNF. Ubuntu has its own ecosystem.
Okay, okay.
So since the question came in, I just will take a minute and try to explain. So what was the problems, by the way? So back in days, we used to go with something called as RPMs. Okay. So RPM, and is a software is an RPM. So we go with an RPM command on. Okay. Or RPM command. So now RPM command had limitations, by the way. Now, if you try to install a DNF install some package, it is installing the packages, right? So then problem is it was not able to install dependency. First you install the dependencies and then you install the main package. And that become a very pain point. Okay. So, and that's where from Red Hat 2 until or at least 2.1, we call it up usually. And Red Hat 2, Red Hat 3, Red Hat 4, it was an RPM command. And in 4.8, actually, they address this particular problem. Okay. So now when you install an RPM, all its dependencies also to be installed. And also another thing they're doing is central support. Okay. Now you are giving a URL, okay, which is a repo file concept came into picture. So now in 4.8, they have introduced something called as YUM. Okay. So YUM is there. And from 4.9, it is continuing from 4.9, YUM is there, and 5 is there, 6 is there, 7 is there. Okay. And after that, again, they came up with the DNF. Okay. They address the problems of RPMs here. This one. Now, YUM started coming up with its own problems. Now, what is our problems is remove dependencies is not there. Now, with the DNF, by the way, YUM installed, DNF install Nginx. It installed some dependencies. DNF remove Nginx. It removed those dependency packages as well. But YUM was not designed for that. So that means it won't remove the dependencies. Dependencies always live in the system. Only the main package will get removed. This is a very sad thing. So another thing is, of course, that's a different, I mean, that's a very bare minimum thing. And second thing is very important reason that, so DNF came up with is module support. Okay, module support. So now if you go into the today's world, by the way, if let's say if I go to the MongoDB, so MongoDB currently supports 3 versions or 4 versions is going on, or I mean 4 is upcoming, 3 versions currently going on. Now I should have a support for multi-versioning also. That means if I choose to install a particular version, I should be able to choose a particular version. So that means like so multi versions is not possible, and so packages are not possible. Okay. So that's where the DNF has been addressed. That again 8, 9 DNF is going on. Okay. So the multi-version support is there. This anyhow you'll see in the project, by the way. So the project comes with asking you to install certain particular version of a package. Then how do you do that? Okay. So we talk about the moduling. So they introduce something called as modules here in DNF. And for this reason, okay, we'll prefer to go with this one. And also, like anyhow, this is also another problem. There may be more improvements, I feel, but still, these are the two major reasons I would consider why to use DNF over YUM. Yeah.
Raghu, my doubt is, do we use DNF in real time because it is trying to expose to internet and pulling from outside URL?
It can be
Is
internet or intranet. It's a HTTP URL, right? So it can be internet, depends upon the things. And I mean, the internet also, like, what is the problem? You don't want to use internet.
I mean, servers generally we don't expose to outside world that we.
You're not exposing, right? You're getting the information. You're not exposing the information, right? downloading a package is not going to take anything from your system, right?
Yeah.
It's not a reverse way. I mean, if you can highlight the problem, I would say.
I mean, our server is trying to
Mm,
fetch
mm,
something from outside world.
Yeah.
That means we are going outside. Our server is going outside kind of thing. I mean, our request is going like that. Uh, there may be a
So,
chance of something
okay.
that's the
Your
thing. I may be
yeah,
wrong, but
yeah. Let's talk reality, right? So you have a laptop. It's also an operating system,
uh,
for an example. You have been dealing with internet all every day, day in, day out.
right.
Is there any problem happen?
It depends upon what kind of things I download, what kind of things I access, like that.
So it means you're doing consciously.
Right.
Server also, why not same thing? You don't do mischievous things because it is a server, right? Your
Right.
desktop, you will be very careful, but server, you don't
Right.
misuse it, right? So you have to do the same thing. So then the point won't arise. So downloading things from the internet will not harm anything. And you're also
Okay.
downloading something from an internet, so which is a proper URLs, by the way, right? You're not
Right.
actually going from XYZ domains. You're going to a vendor, I'm talking. So vendor
Okay.
means you trust a vendor, right? If you don't trust MongoDB, I mean, downloading software, how can you trust MongoDB to run your company,
Yeah.
right?
True.
So such things will be there. So no issues. I mean, I hear your point. I mean, we can work with even zero internet as well. I mean, let's say I work with zero internet environments. That means server never have even exposing to the outside world, secondary thing. Exposure to the internet also is not there. So just going to be the intranet only. That's what I'm trying to tell. Your
Okay.
company, based on the company policy, your server can go to the internet outside the packages maybe, or else it can go to the intranet, we say. Okay, so all these packages will be caged somewhere. We just get it from here rather than going out of that and getting the internet. So that
Right.
depends. But going out is not a harm thing, I would say. Okay. A lot of organizations still use that. At least I don't see any problem in that. But company policy, just to avoid, now let's say you raised one concern that something could go wrong, right? So
Hmm.
that wrong, why do you need to take a risk? In that cases only, we'll avoid this. Thinking about it.
Okay. Some other day you using curl and you downloaded some file. Uh, to install that, we use same command DNF or any other. I mean, we did not directly install that. We just downloaded using curl.
Yeah, that is not a package, by the way.
Oh, okay. I thought it's a package.
Yeah, those are just bunch of files.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
In Windows, we have like system component and third party component that we download. So in is there a way to differentiate the package that is for the system component and the package, I mean the packages that are for the third party?
I don't know Windows, but I really not sure. Like Windows means, I mean, when you say Windows things, what are such? Can you give some examples? Third party, I
So
understand.
yeah, so in Windows, there is a add remove programs in control panel, and in that you
Uh,
see all the features that are within Windows that allows you to install something as a
those are
Windows
features.
component. Yeah,
I don't think so. It's a software. You're just enabling a feature.
that's right. But it is a kind of installation of some
Mm,
feature that needs to be installed.
may-
So it is
That's a
within
Windows.
Windows.
That's a Windows ecosystem, maybe. I am not completely. I am not a. I'm a Windows layman guy, so which I don't know. But at least like I know Telnet or something you're telling, right? So you just
That's
enable.
correct. Yeah, exactly. Yes.
So maybe we are thinking it is installing package. Maybe behind the scene it is not installing the package. It's maybe a feature. Otherwise they wouldn't consider that as a feature, right? I'm just telling. So the control
Yeah,
panel,
yeah,
whatever
that's
it shows
fine.
in between middle, now showing enabling telnet, will it show that it installed telnet in the control panel? Like
Yeah.
in this, in a way that in the boxes, in the control panel, we have this one, right? So list of softwares, it will show that what is installed. Windows. So if I go for Windows add/remove programs, right? So this one here, when you install Telnet, will it show here in this list?
I think they consider that as a feature. So there is another button for feature, Windows feature. So
Let
it
it be
shows
that.
the
That's
Windows
okay.
feature.
Let's understand they categorized it. That's okay. Let it be. But end of the day, it's a program only, right? It's a software.
Right.
Who made it? It does not really matter. But
Right.
in
So
Linux, yes. But the Linux, the answer is no. Okay. So you will not have that.
okay.
But you can understand, okay, one thing by the way. So from DNF, so I did not talked about this. So actually where this package is coming from, you can understand this coming from the RHEL9 base OS. So that means it means understand is actually shipped along with the Red Hat kind of a thing. Okay. RHEL base OS, RHEL9 AppStream. Okay, these are all the considering going with the default RHEL. And some of them, let's say if I it's all coming in RHEL9. Maybe Jenkins, if I show, you can see that comes as where. Sorry. So now Jenkins is showing it is coming from a Jenkins side. So at least this keyword help me understanding the where this is coming from. So if it is coming like, it is coming from the vendor, it shows that RHEL9 and all. Okay. So like that. Otherwise, it is going to show that where it is coming from, at least from this or where it got installed from. If I install Jenkins, it will show that, from this Jenkins source, which is from the repo file reference, it will show that it is installed from here. So that's how it is.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone? Any other questions? So package is a very important thing to start with, or basically like in the packaging. And the next one, so one more thing I wanted to do here is services, by the way, service management. Now, why do you use server? Okay, the core requirement of why do you use server is basically to run some softwares, correct? To run some services. And that's where the service management will come into picture. What service management is uh, telling is, if I want to start any services or if I want to stop any services, the service management tool came into picture. Okay, so the server is used to serve a service that runs all the time in the background. So like all the commands, whatever you executed so far, just runs on the prompt and completes, by the way. It is not a 24/7 process. But in a server world, okay, what do you need to have is you need to have a 24/7 scenario, right? And that means if I'm hitting google.com server, that means google.com software, whatever it is running 24/7 there. Then only you're able to access it, right? Now such process comes into picture. And if you have such process you wanted to run, then you better take the system management help or whatever the system management you have, service management you have. So you take that thing help and you manage your process. Okay. So that is how the service management comes into picture. Now to list down all the services, which is a very not that great use case, but if you want to list down all the services, you have this command. Okay. So just list it down and you press Q to come out, by the way. Here it is just stopped. You just press Q so that it will come out. Like I mentioned, it's not a great one. Now I think I removed Nginx. So here's an example. Let's take some service. So sudo dnf install Nginx. Let's install a package. The Nginx is one of the web server. That means it can run the web, or it can give you the web pages, by the way. Now systemctl status Nginx, we are going to go with, say that. So this status is inactive. That means it's not running. Okay. But however, if I want to start the service, I'm going to give start Nginx. So status Nginx. So you can see thus it is active and running. All right. So then if you want to stop the service again, stop as well. Systemctl is a command, so that will help with all the things. So systemctl status, systemctl start, systemctl stop, all these particular things. Now, when you actually start a service, it just runs all the time, no problem. But however, any reason I do a reboot of the system, let's say I stop the server and I started it back, whatever the reason it is. Maybe I did some maintenance. I need to stop the server and I need to restart, or some application which is running in that particular server. So maybe you needed a restart once. Whatever it is, that you restarted the machine once. Now, after you restarting, okay, you go back and check this particular process. So what it will do is, or what it will show is, it is not running, by the way. So that means this service is only started for the for the time only the server is running. But after that, it is not going to start it, by the way, at the time of reboot. Now, if you want to start the service at the time of reboot, so then what is that you need to do is systemctl enable nginx. If you see here, it is actually telling the service is disabled, and also preset is also disabled. Preset means what? When the software is getting installed, by the way, what is the default value of that? The preset value is disabled, and that's how this is also disabled. But if I can enable, preset can be disabled, but I can go ahead and enable it. Okay. So status nginx, you will see that it is inactive. Now, if I go with the enable nginx and you go for the status of nginx, now it is showing enabled. Preset is disabled. That means when you install the software, it was disabled, but right now you enabled it. That is the relation between that. Okay. And sudo reboot. Now it is enabled, right? Automatically, when the system is coming up, automatically it is going to start that particular service. Or you don't want it, you can disable as well. And also at the same time, you want to restart, you can just do a restart also. So systemctl start, stop, restart, enable is the widely used options. Done. So now you go for systemctl status nginx. I did not start it. It started automatically because it's enabled. So that's about systemctl management. But anyhow, whenever we go into the project, by the way, we are going to talk about how to create our own services. Okay. So that particular thing will come in the project. I'll explain you that time. So not a big deal. I mean, that time we'll see that. Right? Clear? Any questions? No questions?
Hi Raghu, I have one question. So if let's say I wanted to kill something like PSID, one of the user, and I don't have access to kill that, so for that I will log in with the root sudo, right? So like
You will no. You will not log in with the sudo. If you have a privilege of sudo, you'll use the privilege.
yeah, that yeah, correct. So like unmistakably I deleted disable the another PS ID for another user. So can I get the logs for that? Like that person logged in with that use the sudo privileges and this person has
Ev-
disabled that ID, particular ID,
Yeah. Everything get logs in the system.
even though with the sudo as well, right?
Everything. But you need to configure that. Default operating system will not deal with.
Yeah, okay. That's what my question. I need to configure. Okay.
Yeah. So for an example, if I give kill command or ps-f pipe grep for crony, okay. So it shows that I executed a command ps. So a ps command I executed ps-ef. Okay. Grep this one I executed. Now kill. -9, okay, of this one with sudo. Okay,
Yeah.
so it tells that, okay, so a kill command has been executed. Who has executed that? A EC2 user home directory, it has been executed, okay, by EC2 user using the privilege of root. So there is
Okay.
a log written. By default, it won't come. You have to configure this things.
Okay.
I think sudo, it will show at least what all the sudo things it's executed. But actually, I enabled a bit even more detail, by the way, so you can see so what command also being executed.
Like I will use with the single sign on, right? So then my ID will be reflected there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is maybe layman question, but so while using we are DNF, it is simply installing. I think it is not prompting anything like that. I am not sure all the commands, but if I have let's take MongoDB 7, you put the URL and you install using DNF. It will overwrite that 7 version and install 8, or it will install version 8 separately like that, or how it will be. My other question is when we have a second question, when we have EC2 is like a root user in the system, right? Right now we are seeing the screen. It's like same thing as root.
EC2 user have a privileges, by the way. Yes. Administrative privileges he have.
Yeah. Just confusion, like why do we want to use a sudo before we want to execute a administrative command? Because I have every admin privilege in the system. Just that command is still in my mind. Why do we want to use sudo? Because I'm already admin kind of feeling, right? I mean, EC2 is a admin kind of thing on this particular system. That's the only doubt.
EC2 user is not admin, right? Admin user is root user only.
Okay. No,
You
but
are using a
EC2
privilege.
privilege. Okay. That means I have a admin privilege. That's the thing I want to
I can tell
understand.
like this. A funny example, maybe you go to your classroom. Okay. So there is a teacher. Okay. Let's say,
Mm, mm,
and he's a root.
Okay.
Okay. So he's a privileged. I mean, he is the admin of that class. Let's say he is a thing. Now all the children which is sitting over there is normal users. Now there is a class leader. Okay. Now some of the activities, whatever it is being teached by are done by teacher, one the class leader also can do. Funny example. Now what is the he got it, by the way? He got a privilege to become a class leader so that he is doing the activities of what the teacher is supposed to do. Now you try to relate that, right? So who is a student? EC2 user is a student. Teacher is a root, but a root work actually being done by this particular one person, okay, who is having the privilege. Okay, but both are not same. Student is different, teacher is different. So the root user is different. Normal user is different, but normal user trying to become a root user and do the things like a root user. So that
Mm,
is a different thing.
Got it.
And for your
Yeah.
first question, by the way, for package installation, so if you're having already one version installed and you're trying to install another version, okay, ideally it is going to, it's when you install a package, what really happens? For an example, there's an RPM, by the way. So in RPM, what is there? Okay, if you just open it, let's open the box of RPM. Okay, now all the time package means it's a packed one, like it's a box. We're not seeing inside. Let's open up that particular box. Let's see an RPM, by the way. If I want to make an RPM, what really does there? Okay, see, box only. He is giving an example. That literally a box only. Now, if you open the box, by the way, so these are the things, folders that you'll be having in that box are basically to build it. So you need to make it. And end of the day, so what you're going to do is you're going to run some script, by the way. Okay. Now the vendor, whoever it is actually written this particular RPM, he will know the logic of it and, so he can do the things. So you cannot determine saying that, so only this will happen. Now what the vendor has written inside that particular RPM, while making the RPM, the script he has written, the logic he has written, that thing will happen. Okay. So there is nothing, I mean, this is how it happens. And when you say, like, let's say if it is coming on the DNF layer, now the DNS software, as a DNS software, what it will do when you have two versions of package, okay, it will try to upgrade, by the way. Ideally, when you do an update or install, it will say the package is already installed because the older version is already installed. But okay, you can do a DNF update we talked about. You can do an update. When you do an update, now whatever it is written in this particular script will happen. So that will go and update, or it will not go and update. So for your straightforward answer, when you try to install a new package, it will say the package is already installed. But you try to update it, by the way. So now whatever it is written in the script, it will try to do its job, by the way. So the DNF is only a facilitator.
Oh, thank you.
So again, comparing with the Windows in services, we are able to run services under certain users. So by default, let's say it runs under the administrator context, but we have a way to run it under different user context. So is there a way to do that in Linux as well?
Yeah, of course. And that is a very standard, by the way. Always you should run the things as normal user only, not a root user.
So, but when in Linux, when you do the status, I was not able to see under which user's context the service is running. For example, in Nginx.
It's not showing. So otherwise you can get that information from the process ID, by the way. So user, yes, you're right. It is not showing here, but you have a process, right? So main PID is there. So ps-ef pipe graph for this. So you can see that it is running with the Nginx user. So one process has been kicked off by root, and from there it's Nginx started, by the way. The Nginx is actually running.
Right now, so if we want to change it, are we able to change?
Yeah, there'll be configuration.
But there is no systemctl command that allows us to change that.
No, systemctl is a facilitator, right? Now, what systemctl is telling, okay, you tell to the systemctl, say that I want to do this, it is doing it. Now you're telling to the systemctl that, so hey, someone asks you to start, by the way, you run this command. That's it is doing. It will just run the command. Or also it will go and try to, okay, so if you try to mention that, I want to run with a particular user, it will go and run with that particular user. So all you need to tell that, it's just a facilitator. So, I mean, if your question is if systemctl can't deal with that, means yes, systemctl can deal with that. You have to tell to the systemctl that I wanted to run with this particular user. For an example, I will just go with so systemctl, okay, systemctl service file with user example, let's say. Not this. The user is becoming different things. So let's go with the systemctl service file direct example. Or else I can just 1 second. I can get it from our project also. Yeah, forget about all these things. Let me get our project. Let's say project, for an example, catalog services. So there we are going to write a service file. So exclusively, I'm going to write some information saying that, hey, you run with a particular user and this process will be running with that particular user.
Okay.
I think we're time up as well. Anyone? Any other questions? Like any general questions as well, please.
in regards to doing some practice, what should we do? Anything specific or just the same thing?
Same thing.
Same thing, same thing? Okay.
Yeah.
All right then. Well, all right then. Thank you. You're welcome. And it was a good class so far. I'm learning a lot. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Cool.
So, general question about the Linux. In Windows, we have something called Active Directory, which allows us to manage entire, like all the member servers that joins the domain. We are able to manage it. So, likewise in Linux, what is equivalent to Active Directory?
No, Active Directory only. Active
So,
Directory, Linux boxes also can integrate with Linux. AD, I can join AD.
so it can join the same Windows AD.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So
AD
we
is a
don't.
protocol, right? It's just a vendor is Microsoft. That's it. It's not Okay, fine. It's a Windows Active Directory, but now you need to look like it's a Active Directory.
Right, but without Windows Active Directory, can we have like Linux-based Active Directory?
LDAP is there.
LDAP is okay. So,
Mhm.
are we able to create a similar domain and able to join all the servers
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
domain and then?
yeah.
So, from central Active Directory, we are able to create users and groups and use it for all the servers likewise.
Yeah. LDAP is very less used, you would say. It's mostly
Mhm.
Active Directory only. Enterprise organizations will have Active Directory. I mean, because their ecosystem is very well, right? And Active Directory has integrations to many things. So mostly I have seen is Active Directory.
Are we going to learn in our training
No,
that as well?
no. That's not our job, right?
Mm.
So that's an IT side work.
Okay.
But I'll give you video anyhow, how the centralized login works, how to join the Active Directory. So there are
Yeah,
some pre-recorded videos are there. We'll share. I mean, well, time comes in, probably topics comes in. So we'll show you, okay, the things, or we'll give you
okay.
the things slowly. Don't worry.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Oh, thank you. I wanted to ask if the labs are every day or it's a specific day.
Every
I
day.
see. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that actually I learned a lot, took a lot of notes. And again, do we have class on the weekend?
I mean, for you, it is going to be Sunday to Thursday. So that means Friday and Saturday for you, there won't be any session.
Okay, all right then. But yeah, I just want to say that it was a good class. I know we're wrapping up, so say good job to everybody, and I did a good job. So I just want to say that. So thank you again.
Yeah, no. All right. So if you have any questions, please, there's already a lab session link which is given in the GitHub page. And also the timings is also given based on your time. If you're in India, this is the time. And if you're in US, this is the time, by the way. Or any other country also if you're in. So just adjust just maybe I know some people are from UK as well and South Africa too. I've seen some people. So according to your time zone, I think most of you, your both time zones is UK time zone range it will come. So just adjust your times and just join there. All right. Bye. Good day. Good night. Thanks, everyone.